Hello, Seventh Dimension are back with their newest album, Black Sky. So this released like a few weeks ago. I did get it. I think the day before it was released. Well, it leaked, and I downloaded it the day before it released. So I had listened to it, and I did kind of want to review it on the day, but I kind of want to get into an album all the time, so I usually kind of listen to it over and over and over and over and over and over again until I get a bit bored. Then I kind of go somewhere else, and then I kind of forget about it, which is what happened. So, better late than never, I guess. Yeah. So a bit of backstory. So, I got into Seventh Wonder on the Corrupted Lullaby album, which is the album just before this one. It wasn't their first album. They had something like 2 albums before that, I think. And the Corrupted Lullaby I reviewed on the channel. The album is like 2 hours 7 minutes. My review was split into 2 parts, and altogether is longer than that review. Album, I mean. So it was a hefty review, and I did really like that album. I think I said that it was probably one of the best albums I've reviewed on the channel. And it's definitely one of the best albums I've definitely heard. So putting up best albums, The Corrupted Lullaby would definitely be one of them. I wouldn't say the best, but it's definitely one of the best. It was an absolutely epic album, like 2 hours 7 minutes. That's a huge album, and it's a concept. It's really well told. There's so many different elements through the album. You don't want 2 hours 7 minutes of the music sounding all exactly the same. So there's many styles. Characters have their own kind of like signature sounds to them, which I kind of noticed as well. It had voice actors, that there was amazing solos, great vocals. There was just so much world building, storytelling, so many different things going on. It was so long. Just an incredible album. And for it to work when it's 2 hours 7 minutes and not get bored or have a song that's kind of bad is really phenomenal. So I do kind of class it as near enough a masterpiece. Like it's hard to have a masterpiece album just because there's always things you can improve. I don't know of an album which is like completely perfect and I can't fault, but it's damn near close. So saying this, the band did eventually actually come across my review. Now I want to mention this because for people who know that I reviewed the first one, or even found out about me through the band, may worry, so this is why I'm bringing it up. So I'm a small channel, I'm pathetically small, barely got any subscribers, and half the time barely even get views, and then sometimes I get a fair lot. So the fact that the band actually found me, talked to me, is a big deal. I thought that was fantastic, and they even wrote about me on their Facebook page and put my video up, which brought a lot more people in. I did notice that. So talking to the band was epic. The fact that I was on their Facebook was epic. The fact that they put my videos up and then there was people in the comments and people coming over was absolutely phenomenal. It was incredible. And then they did a documentary, and on their I think it was like 8th video, they talked about people reviewing The Corrupted Lullaby and the reception. And it did show my video. It didn't show my name. I don't know if that was due to like security reasons, because they'd have to ask me permission or something. I don't know. I would have loved for them to have shown my name, just because I just want to really get myself out there. But it was still, nevertheless, amazing. So, as I was saying, the worry is obviously, oh, well, the band clearly know about you now, so they'll come and see this, and because you really like The Corrupted Lullaby, you're going to be biased, and then the band talks to you, they'll watch you, so you're going to be biased, you don't want to slag them off. No. I made this channel purposely because I see a lot of reaction channels that react to songs. I see people who review albums, and they just love everything. There's nothing that they don't like. So it's like, well, where's the limit here? If you like absolutely everything, then what's the bar? There's no bar set. And that's why I got frustrated and I started reviewing albums, because just like a lot of the things that people like, I find crap, and I have a limit. So yeah, I will be honest, just because I like this band and they've talked to me and they've done some good by me, I am still going to be honest. And even if I wasn't honest, I think that's being more rude to the members. It's better to be honest. And it may hurt honesty, but in the end I think they would appreciate it. And again, it's only my opinion. Musical preference and taste is all a matter of, you know, yourselves. It just comes down to what you're into. So just if I don't like something doesn't mean no one else does. But at least I will call things out so then people can see it. And then if that applies to them, then it does. If not, then they can ignore it, unlike other bands that just will not say anything. Review channels. So, I follow them on Facebook, so when they did talk about this album, I knew that it was coming, I knew that they were making one. And I was worried, even before anything was really said, because Corrupted Lullaby, as I say, is a phenomenal album. It's a huge album. It's like, how do you go bigger than this? And that was a worry. And then as the album kind of started getting talked about and everything, I was wondering, is this going to be another big concept? Is it going to be a sequel to the Corrupted Lullaby? Because it did kind of leave it with a setup that it could go into a sequel. How long is it going to be? Are they going to go even longer or something? Like, what the hell are they going to do? So, all of this was worries, like, can they do it? And the more they talked about it, eventually they said it's not a concept album. All these songs are individual songs. And then they revealed the track list. It's only got 9 tracks to it. And then looking at the album length as well, you're looking at 48 minutes, 25 seconds or something like that. It's definitely 48 minutes. I'm not sure about the seconds though. But 48 minutes, that's not really long for a progressive metal band. I think the sweet spot is around 55 to an hour. And then going over, I don't care. I always love if it goes over. Obviously, if the music's good. If it's not, then obviously that would be such a drag. But 48, yeah, it depends. It's not too bad, I guess, and it depends how good the music is. But the band did state that they wanted to basically not do the Corrupted Lullaby again. They wanted to do something shorter and just, you know, more kind of standard. They didn't want to do the super progressive Dream Theater style huge epic stuff. So this is why it's only 48 minutes. It's why it's not a concept and the songs are all individual. And some of the songs are, well, they're not really short. They still pack in a lot compared to what bands deem themselves as progressive, which they are really not. So yeah, it's not as big, it's not as epic, but let's see how that really does. So, just going over the general gist of the album, it's 9 tracks, but that is not necessarily the case. The first track is an intro, so technically that isn't really a track, at least not by the band. So, you take that out, you're ending up at 8 tracks. Now, 8 tracks is a bit weird. And then you lose how long that first track is off of that 48 minutes, which isn't overly long, but kind of decent. Luckily, the intro track is only is just shy of a minute, so it's not really that long. So you're basically looking at now 47 minutes something. But you get one track as the voices fade. That's a very short track. That's like 2 minutes or something. So that's incredibly short. It is a track, and it does kind of actually play into the last track. So because it's kind of really short and it plays just immediately into the last track, Incubus. You can kind of just say, well, As the Voices Fade and Incubus could technically just be one of the same, which then takes the tracks down to, 7. And then Black Sky Assembly is just an instrumental, so obviously there's no vocalist. So if you're a vocalist purist, and you're looking at how many tracks are with the vocalists, then you're looking at 6. So it kind of keeps coming down due to that. It depends just how you think of the album. If you class As the Voices Fade as its own individual track, then it's 7 vocalists. And then if you take it as its one track that blends into Incubus, then it's 6. So there's not really a lot. And I did kind of find it a little bit of an issue, especially for those who have followed the band, because they released 3 singles. So you listen to the 3 actual songs, and as I said, the first track isn't even a track. So then what you're left with that is actually new is one that's very short, one that's instrumental, and then you only get a real few actual tracks with vocalists. Now, even though it sounds like I'm dissing on the instrumental, I'm not. I'm just basically saying that you lose the vocalist. So there's not really a lot. So for people who are completely fresh coming into this, who haven't heard the singles, you do get the full album. For those who listen to just 3 songs, and then you came into the album, you're not getting a lot, and it is therefore short due to that. And then it's still technically kind of short. So these are problems that I'm going to point out, because as I said, even though I do like the band and everything, I do want to get out the negatives. I do wish that the album was a little longer and had more tracks, because as I said, they released 3 and then you're left with not that much left. And the intro track isn't even a track. But as I said, luckily it's just basically under a minute, and it plays immediately into Bad Blood. So it's not like the intros where it's like a 5-minute intro that isn't even the band, and then it stops, and then the next track starts with an intro, which is the actual song, and it's like, well, what's the point of the intro track? I hate bands that do that. So Premonition is the first track, under a minute, goes straight into Bad Blood, so it's not that bad. It's not the band playing, it is just basically an intro of just different sounds that play into the first track, and then that's when the band kicks in. So as I say, it's not too bad. I don't skip it, because as I say, it's under a minute. It's not like it takes too much time. It plays immediately into the next track, so it's a nice little opener, I guess. And then going into Bad Blood. So this is about 6 minutes or so, and is the first track. So this is a heavy track, and the band did kind of state that this is pretty much the heaviest album that they've done. Again, it's not going to be as progressive as the other albums, but I will get back to that. So yeah, Bad Blood is pretty heavy, and when it starts, the whole band's there immediately as the song begins. It doesn't have the intro playing in off of Premonition. When Premonition stops and immediately goes into Bad Blood, the band's immediately there. And the great thing about this album is basically there's a lot, and one is the musicianship. So as this song starts, you got your intro that then has to lead you into your verse where the vocalist is. Now some intros you look at just basically just, chords. Just carry a beat until the vocalist gets here. That's all we have to do. Just make sure that the beat is going until we can give it off to the vocalist, because we don't know what else to do. Not with this band. This band aren't friggin' lazy and talentless hacks. This band has talent, and therefore the second the intro starts, you get a decent sounding riff. Now there's not a lot to it, but the fact that it is technically kind of like a lead, and does have something more to it than just basically chords and power chords, it makes it interesting. It is interesting, and when that stops, which I believe is the guitarist there who does the first part of the intro, you get an interlude from the keys. So the keys kind of start taking a lead. So immediately for the intro, you got the guitarist doing this little interlude lead, which sounds great. Then you get the keyboardist doing not really an interlude, it is more of a lead. It's a bit more of a held back lead, but it is a lead nonetheless, I believe. Then it gets into the actual riff before the verse kicks in. The riff is quite aggressive. It's kind of like gent style. And then when the vocalist comes in, that riff does kind of change. That riff is only there for that small segment. Then they do something completely different yet again. There is a lot going on. So even though this song does kind of follow the simple trademarks of you have your intro, your verse, chorus, a solo, and then finish on the chorus, which is what most bands do. There's no differentiating. They do shove a lot in there, and if you do kind of look at it under the like microscope, there is a lot of different things going on, as I said. So vocalist comes in, there's an effect on his voice, which makes it sound different. I don't know if he used the effect on Corrupted Lullaby, because if he didn't, then this is a new way of hearing his voice. And the first time I heard it, it sounded absolutely great, just because I wasn't expecting it. It's something new, it's different. And he does that for around half of the verse, and then he goes into his natural voice, so where the effect comes off. The actual musicianship underneath the vocalist is pretty quick. As I say, again, it's not really power chords. It is kind of technical sound, and it sounds difficult. It's not basic, it's not slow, it's not just there to keep a beat. And as I said, the vocalist for the first part with the effect sounds great when he comes off. He's singing quite aggressively. It's definitely not clean and soothing, his voice. It's definitely got more of an impact to him. Then you get more leads. It's pretty ridiculous. You get a key lead again, and then before the chorus starts, then you get a guitar lead. Loads going on. It's insane. Now the guitar lead is just obviously just a little bit, just connecting verse to chorus, just in that little gap. And it sounds great because he goes for melody. So instead of just speeding into it, it's actually got melody. I adore melody. It's more memorable. It's more pleasant to the ears than just doing a bazillion notes to the dozen. So sounds great. We go into our chorus. It's a decent chorus, pretty kind of generic. As the chorus ends, that's kind of where I prefer it, because there's a bit more of a kind of vocal melody that runs along with the band under him. I just kind of like that melody at the end. It really works. Then we start progressing into our second verse. Now they do a cop-out because it goes melodic before the verse actually starts, and I kind of thought that they were actually going to go proper melodic, because that's kind of what they do. So you have the verse one way, then you get it another way. But no. Now, this kind of disappoints me. I would like to have seen the verse be proper melodic. So yeah, you basically are just getting the same chorus, unfortunately. Not chorus, verse. But again, the fact that they give you a cop-out means that you kind of unexpected, which is the thing with music, I find, which is it's incredibly predictable. Because once you've basically ended the first chorus, for most bands, you've technically kind of heard the entire song, because the verse is going to be exactly the same and the chorus will just be exactly the same. So then you can always kind of predict it. So even if the verse did change, that is something new that you couldn't predict. But with Seventh Wonder, because they always do that, you kind of predict that they'll go down that route, because that is what the band has usually done. But the fact that they cut it off and then go back to what the verse originally was, it's kind of like unexpected, but then kind of expected, but then back to unexpected. So it kind of does keep tripping you up, so it's very difficult to kind of know what it's going to do. So it's nice to be surprised, because as I said, with music, it's incredibly predictable. And yeah, so it's not exactly the same, because in the first verse you had the effect on the voice. This time it isn't. And So it does basically play out exactly the same. As I said, the riffing isn't basic. It sounds complicated. It's aggressive. The vocals sound great. Before the chorus, again, you get a lead. It's extended, so it goes on for a bit longer. Then we get into the chorus, and then we start leading into the solo. So the guitar solo is really good. It's one of the good things about the album. It lasts something like 40 seconds. It lasts a while compared to what most metal bands do. Even if they have a phenomenal guitarist where they're known for the guitarist being great, and then all they are capable of is 5-second solos. It's like, how great can this guitarist be? I don't know why people like him. But this guitarist knows shit, is talented, and then actually shows it instead of, I'm Steve Vai, but I'll only do something for 1 second. Like, if that's all Steve Vai's career was, dear God, he wouldn't be where he is now. So, yeah, you get a show of what he's capable of, which is a fair bit. The solo goes through melodies. There is technical aspects and speed, but he never goes too far with it. He understands to not overdo it. If the whole 40 seconds is just one big slogfest of speed, then there's just nothing. You hear the speed and then it's just speed over and over and over and over again. There's nothing memorable that can really stick out. There's no pause. There's no pause for reflect on what you've heard to then take you into the next step. If you've got a wall of speed, it's hard to keep for the brain to kind of segment each element and digest these pieces because too much is happening. If you get a little speed like burst and then stop, it gives the brain a chance to digest that while the melody goes on, which then kind of soothes the mind, and then you can go back to it. So that is the way to kind of do it, and this guitarist always does that. He never does something full out speed, even though he is pretty quick. And then 40 seconds, fuck yeah. Just yes. And on their Facebook page, they actually put up the track listing with I forgot his name, but the guitarist of Dream Theater. They put his face next to the songs for how much soloing they had, and this song only has one, and the max is 3, meaning that this is one of the songs that actually is got less musical stuff going on, and it's a 40-second solo. And we've had leads. The whole intro was kind of like lead stuff. And then before the choruses, there's been lead stuff. And then we've had great vocalists as well. Like, some of these bands I don't think bother with the solos because it's like, oh, but we don't want to take away from the vocalist. Like, no, I got the friggin' vocalist. It's not like before the chorus started, because I was blasted with that small segment of a lead, I was then deafened to the vocalist and I couldn't hear him. Fuck no, like, it's a stupid argument. So it's, as I say, it is technically standard as far as song structuring goes, but with that, the band has done everything possible to make it epic. The whole intro is great and has a lot going on. There is so much lead work, even though they are following the typical structure of any band, even pop artists, technically. But there's so much leads. There is a huge solo. They're a cop-out, so even though it is the typical thing, and therefore, in a way, predictable, they do kind of trick you in that little mid-section there. And then the solo, you can't really predict what the solo is going to be, and therefore 40 seconds you can't predict it or how it will be, melodic, fast, or a mix of both, which is kind of what it is. It's not full-blown melodic, but it has its slower moments just to kind of pull it back. So, great track. So the next track we have is Kill the Fire. So Kill the Fire. So this is 4 minutes 58 seconds, so shorter than the previous track, but still great track. Starting off, it starts off immediately again. It's definitely more of a haunting song, Kill the Fire. in for certain aspects. It's definitely this intro. So the intro, you get some aggressive riffs, but then there is this haunting kind of like melody over the top of it. I don't know whether if it's the guitars or the keys. I'm not really sure what it actually is. But it sounds incredible. The kind of haunting vibe that goes over the top of the very aggressive riff that is under it. So a mix of aggressive and haunting. It's just really, really good. And again, it's just nice that the band just constantly do this. It's not always a song that just, it starts, guess what, it's an A chord that then transcends into a B. Oh my god! Like, it's always something. It's something interesting, something. You're 5 seconds in and you're already thinking, it's kind of haunting. It makes you think. You are not just, oh, well, I'm just going to wait for the singer, because there's nothing really to think about. There's always something to think about. There's always something on offer. It's not just the band waits until they have a solo, or they just keep a rhythm going because there is a vocalist, and what's the point of any of the other members? The whole band is on show, and that's what is incredible. Again, it is a simplistic, structured song. It follows the typical beats, but they put everything they can into it. It's great. So this is our intro, and then when we get to our actual verse, this is a pretty nice verse because the guitar's cut out. No, I'm not dissing the guitarist. Like, it's nice because he fucks off. No, it's nice because it gives time and appreciation to the members who usually get overshadowed by the guitar. Usually the guitarists in metal always overshadow the bass. So that's why I like it when they do disappear. I don't like them disappearing a lot because I'm a guitar enthusiast. That's my main. But it's nice just to kind of hear something different. Because even an enthusiast who just listens to guitar over and over and over again, you will eventually get sick of it. So it's nice to have that variation. So even though, again, the band is doing the step-by-step, they are doing different stuff. So now we have got focus on drums and bass, as well as the vocalist. The vocalist singing deep. He naturally has quite a deep voice, though he can do high notes as well. It's just different. So coming off of Bad Blood, which is a bit more kind of aggressive and everything, this is a bit more haunting. There's a bit more melody, as I said, because the guitar and everything's gone. We just get bass and drums and everything with a deep kind of voice here. Really pleasant, completely different to the previous track. And then getting into our chorus here, something I forgot, there is backing vocals in Bad Blood, which are kind of sci-fi sounding. I forgot to mention that because they're kind of in Kill the Fire, not as sci-fi and separate, but they kind of work with the vocalists. So in Bad Blood it was just a backing, and in this one it's backing and vocalist at the same time. I like the sound of the backing voice. It's a good voice and just works well with the main vocalist. I definitely kind of prefer this chorus over Bad Blood. As I said, Bad Blood wasn't bad at all. It's just I prefer this one. It's just the fact that the haunting intro and then the deep, somber kind of like verse, and then getting into the chorus with the kind of backing vocals and the vocalist, and it's a bit more quick-paced. It's like haunting, dark melody, and then like upbeat. So it's like the song is constantly going through all these fluctuations, and that's what I like, because it's not stagnant. It's not like monotone, stagnant in one place. No, it moves, it flows, and that's what I like. So the backing vocalist sounds great, the vocalist sounds great, the upbeatness, it's catchy, and then it pauses, and then it kind of opens itself up, so it's not just the whole chorus is this, it opens it up, it goes into more of a melody, then it comes back, does that kind of catchy stuff again, then opens up again. Then we go back to our verse. They do the thing that they did in Corrupted Lullaby, where there is kind of spoken elements, and that's here in this segment. And again, kind of like my fault with Corrupted Lullaby, I don't know what the hell they're saying. Like, I've downloaded the FLAC file of this, and I'm playing it through my car, and it's not coming through. It's just so quiet and just hard to distinguish. Now, I would like to know what they say, obviously, because it's there for a reason. But I've kind of flipped it and kind of thought, well, a guitar kind of can tell a story without words, and therefore a voice can do it without words as well. So I take it as an effect, like a vibe, an effect, a feeling, kind of. So I don't need to know the words. It's there just to kind of add like something different, as I say, an effect. So that's the way I've kind of took it. So even though I don't understand it, I do kind of appreciate it because it puts something new in there, something else you can kind of vibe with. So obviously, as I say, the song does kind of do its step by step, so you know how the rest of the song goes. And then we get to the solo. So the last one was ranked 1. This one's 2. So this one is, by the band, rated even better than Bad Blood for the musicianship. So I've timed it again, and it is technically the same time. It's about 40 seconds or so. I think it's probably a few seconds longer, but to then take that to 2, you kind of think, well, that's kind of difficult, and it's only stuck to the solo as for in the previous track, Bad Blood. They had all them other leads that were going on as well, so technically there is kind of more there. I think the reason why they've given this 2 is the fact that it's the guitars and the keys both at the same time doing the solo. So they have a hefty build-up. At first, there's some aggressive amount of speed between the guitar and the keys, both at the same time. Then it goes into a riff. Then we get into the solo eventually. So they build themselves up into it. And then when it starts, you get the keys starting. And then the guitar takes over immediately. Then back to keys, back to guitar. And then for the end, the keys do take over the bigger portion of the track. And it ends on the solo instead of going back into the chorus. So this solo, again, is great. I absolutely love the back and forth of the guitars and the keys. I like the big section of the keys. Again, it's different. There is a focus on keeping the melody there, not just being speed. The fact that it's dueling with the keys, you get the best of both worlds. Instead of it just being guitar or just keys, it's both. So you get the helping of both. If you prefer guitar, if you prefer keys, doesn't matter, they're both there. And as I say, it's I think like shy of 50 minutes. So not 50 minutes, 50 seconds. What the hell am I on about? Minutes, that's ridiculous. So it's friggin' long. So again, really offering you as much as they can musically. So then we got on to our first single that they actually released, Resurgence. So with this track, this is probably the heaviest. It's 5 minutes, 4 seconds, so longer than the other one, but still not as long as Bad Blood. It starts off not immediately heavy off the gates, which I think is kind of good. You do kind of want build up to songs, build the anticipation, what's coming. You don't want to just be met with, oh, well, here immediately is how the song is. So building up, it's kind of like key synths. So it's kind of quiet, then it starts kind of building and building and building until it just immediately kind of just explodes full pelt into what the song is, which is just really aggressive. So this intro part is super fast, super aggressive. They may be playing 7 strings because there seems to be a hell of a lot of gain. It's super, super aggressive and distorted. There's some nice little things that the guitarist does. Even though I'm a guitar enthusiast, I don't know these things by name, but there is definitely some interesting little things that he does in this section. Even in the verse. So when you get to the verse, well, before it starts, actually, it goes back into that synth thing, then it goes into the verse. Now, the verse isn't kicking it full power like what that intro part was. It's still kind of heavy, and the vocalist isn't singing very loud and aggressively. He's kind of like straining kind of his voice singing in this one, quite dark kind of. But musically, again, the guitarist always puts in these little kind of notes here and there. So every time the vocalist kind of has a little pause, the guitarist will come in and just add this little section of lead, so you don't actually have any pause, because if the vocalist stops, then it's a guitarist up front. Absolutely love it. It's what blues players do, where they always put their little effect in between the vocal delivery. So I really, really love that. It constantly keeps kind of showing there's always stuff going on instead of just sitting in the back. He's always there. He's always doing something, always doing this lead work. Absolutely love it. Then we go into our chorus. Now, I like the flip of this because the chorus kind of gets quite bright. Musically, it's bright. It's very open. There's not really a lot going on. It's not overly complex. The voice is brighter. It's an interesting twist, seeing this. As I said, the verse, the vocalist is singing quite like deep and rough and strained, and musically, it's got all them like lead parts going on, complication, and then just opening up, bright, simple, just nice, quite relaxed. Actually, of choruses that we've been given, it is quite laid back for the heaviest, most intense song. So I do kind of like that twist. I don't know if that was deliberate for that reason, just to give you the two like little twists there, because I always kind of like that in music instead of it, as I say, all being stagnant. I like the fluctuations. Coming out, instead of just going into the verse, why not throw a bloody lead in there? Because what else is going to be there? Just do the chords? Well, I'm a guitarist. I know how great I am. Fucking throw a lead in. Why not? Because it's bloody great and it's genius, so do it. And he does. You get a lead. Then we know how the song progresses, which is, again, kind of similar, until we get to our solo. So, for the solo aspect, what do we have? So, I think it's ranked 2 again. I think it might be 3, but I think it's 2. I forgot. It's not 1, though. So, it should be really good. It might be 3. It might be 2. No, I think it's 3, actually. So, this should be really good. So, how do we start? So, it goes kind of muted. We get the synth keys like we had for the intro coming in. And you can hear the key presses a lot more in this one. So, it's like that kind of build-up. Then we get the guitarist first off the bat. A lot of great techniques. There is some whammy hits in there, some kind of speed, a lot of whine from the guitar. So, as I said, not melody and not fast, but like keeping the aggression there and the darkness, but without sacrificing melody. And then it goes to the keys, back to the guitar, back to the keys. I will say I do like the guitarist's intro part, because I think he comes in really, really well. But I have to say my favourite is actually the keys for that last segment. So the last portion of the solo, I think, is the keys. And his big segment that he gets, so how does it go? It's like guitar, key, guitar, and then I think key, guitar, long key or something. There's a lot of back and forth going on. Again, incredibly long solo, but this last segment of keys, the reason I like it is because, one, it's long, so you get... I hate it when a solo kind of starts and it's like, this sounds nice. It's like, oh, I want to see where this goes, and they just stop it. It's like, well, I don't know where that was going. It's long, so I get the kind of like full story of it. When it finishes, I'm like, yeah, I've gotten that. And it's melodic. It's the reason why I like it. The melody works. It's a great sounding melody. It has a little section, a little speed to it, just to give you that little nuance there. Just a little bit of something different. But it has melody. It's got a great sound to it. It's got great melody, some good source to it. It sounds great because the melody works. It's not boring, it's not dull, it sounds pleasant, it's nice, it's pleasing, it's got your lifts, it's got the emotion, it's nice, it's brilliant. As for the guitarist, why I prefer the keys is the guitarist never goes that deep into melody. And that's why this works. I love that last portion of the key solo. Just absolutely great. But the overall solo, as I say, is great. I love how the guitarist starts. That first note of how what they start on, just brilliant. And then technical, again, it's mostly technical, but not just, Herman Lee's level of technical. It always has that, like, holding back to not overplay it and overdo it while still giving you a shit ton of stuff. So really well laid out. Again, I would have liked the guitarist to go more lenient to melody, but the keyboardist did that, and it was great. And then the song, kind of follows in tradition. You get your chorus going into your outro, which was the intense kind of intro portion. The vocalist does a really high kind of scream for all the vocalists. It doesn't last too long. I kind of thought when he started it would be one of them really held ones, but it's not held. He just kind of does the high kind of belt that lasts just a few seconds and then kind of stops. But still good. It's pretty difficult to do a high note without blowing your voice. So let's get on to the next track, Falling. So, Falling is... I don't know if it's kind of my favourite of the album, just because there's so much I like about this track. So this is a melodic, pretty much the only melodic, really, of the entire album. And the reason I like it is just how everything works. Everything has been working, but everything works really well. It all has been working really well. How am I going to say this? It really works well for what I like all of it. I don't know how to put this. It's just this really, really works for me. Because it's melody, and when bands go melodic, there is a lot of sacrifice of the beauty. Because when you go melodic, you don't have that energy, you don't have that aggression, you don't have that get-up. So you need it to either be catchy or kind of beautiful. If it's not catchy and it's not beautiful, and then it's just quiet and slow, then it's gonna be slow. And a lot of bands are crap at doing it. As for With Falling, the guitarist seems to also sing this, and that's the way I kind of say the guitarist is like throughout the album. He always kind of seems to lead himself and be the forefront vocalist, but here he definitely does seem to take it, but the whole band does. I'm not saying that the guitarist is a better vocalist than the singer, no, but when he's doing the riff parts, it's all lead. Like, everything is leads and melodies, and then he doesn't just overdo it. So there'll be a little pause, then he'll come in with these little kind of leads, these holds and melodies, and then some bright notes here and there, and then a bit of a pause and everything. Then he'll come back again just to then heighten the song. You don't want the song to always be heightened. You want it again to have that flow. Because if it's always heightened, then there's nowhere higher to go. So when it's low, it's and relaxed, and then it goes into that high element, you lift yourself. Because if there's no lift, then you can't lift. So it's nice to have that lift, and then it descend into relaxation and the lift again. It's beautifully done. I love just how the guitarist taken out the vocalist. It's kind of like an instrumental. This, you don't need the vocalist because the music gives so much already. In other songs, like if you look at Kamelot or something, or just any really standard crap metal band, and you take the vocalist out and then they give you an instrumental track, which Kamelot actually does, and it's like, but why? There's not a lot going on, there's nothing really being told. You can feel the melody, and because as I say, the guitarist keeps coming in with them leads and everything, it's like he is singing. You can feel it, you can understand, and you get the beauty through what the guitarist is delivering, because it's not simplistic chords. He puts himself into it, and his heart and the emotion, and the melody's all there. Now what really enhances it is it works in tandem with the vocalist. The vocalist has some beautiful vocal melodies, and when he really goes into a vocal melody, the guitarist is under him, following in line with a vocal melody. It is so beautiful. He's doing a vocal melody, the guitarist does a vocal melody. When the vocalist stops, the guitarist does some little bright notes, just dun 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 dun, just to end it, and the vocalist comes back. It's like they're working in tangent. He's doing his melody, the guitarist does his own melody, but can even trail off and doing his own thing. There's so much melody to this track, which is why I love it so much. The melody of the guitar throughout is amazing. The high notes, incredible. I think, again, there's some whammy hits. And vocal melodies are phenomenal again. There's pauses, so you're not getting absolutely bombarded with the guitars. So when they do come, they're even more appreciated. And then the solo, definitely one of the best solos, because it's melodic. It's only got that 1 star for a solo, so it's not actually a lot, even though the guitarist seems to just be doing constant leads. But for his solo, it's just full-blown melodies. So it's beautiful, it's got a rich tone to it, it sounds nice. And I just love it, just because it's not slow, it's not boring, it doesn't have a dirty, ugly tone to it. It is melodic, it has the rich tone to it, and then it just goes and it soars, and then it's mixed in with the rest of the song that has been doing this the whole time. It's a beautiful track. I absolutely loved that track. As I've said, I've liked all the other tracks as well, but Falling, just because it has all that melody and there's so much lead work. It's all been there in the previous tracks, but because this is melody based, it just does that for me way more. I love when melody works. So, getting on to our next track, which is Black Sky, Into the Void. Not Into the Void, Assembly. So this is like 2 tracks. They don't actually delve into each other, so when Assembly finishes, Into the Void doesn't immediately start. They're both separate, but it's Black Sky, Assembly, then Black Sky, Into the Void. So the first part, Assembly, is that instrumental. It's fairly long, it's like 5 minutes, I believe. And yeah, it's got the 3 full-blown stars, because obviously it's a full-blown instrumental of 5 minutes. Now, on the Facebook, I saw that it said instrumental, so I was expecting like full-on lead, and then with the 3 stars, I was like, this is going to be the guitarist just going at it, and the keys constantly. It's going to be full-blown solos between guitar, key, non-stop. That's not the case. And therefore, it's one of my worst tracks for it. But giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I am still saying it because I don't want to be saying, oh, hypocrite, because of my relation with the band and saying, oh, you're being too soft. As I said, I had a vision of what it was before it came out, that it was going to be full-on leads. That was all it was going to be. It was going to be epic. And I was expecting it was going to be basically like Paul Gilbert, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Yumi Malmsteen, all of these. That's what I expected, but in a way it is and in a way it isn't. So there are leads, clearly, but they do stop and then basically go for, the like chords and things. So they stopped in order to focus on riffs. Then they do come in to do solos. So that is my problem, but only because I was expecting something and that's what I wanted and I didn't get it. But again, it's Black Sky Assembly, so it's probably storytelling for the next track, Black Sky Into the Void. So it's probably got storytelling through music, which is a thing for people who don't think it's a thing and it's basically just playing for the sake of playing. No, playing can tell stories and convey emotions and everything. So the lead work is probably telling something, and the riff parts are probably trying to tell something. I don't know, because I just keep trying to focus on when the leads happen. So I'm not entirely sure what the story purpose is. But the riffs that are in there sound nice. They're not kind of dull. They're heavy, aggressive, or fast-paced, and then the lead work that's in there, it's fast, energetic. It's just, I really, really, really wanted something way more instrumental-based. But, as I say, you do get a lot in the way of solos, then you do get riffs, and some people do really like the aggressive gent-style riffs and fast riffs and things. So all of that's there. You got them riffs, you got them solos. So technically all of that is there for you. So that is like 10 out of 10 for them people. I just want solos throughout. So getting into Black Sky Into the Void. I really like the intro with this. This was the Falling was the second single. Black Sky Into the Void was the third and final single, and it's a hefty track, one of the longer ones. I don't think it's the longest. I think Incubus might be. So Black Sky Into the Void, this is where it starts going way more progressive. Black Sky Into the Void and Incubus. So these are the tracks that now start getting long and intense. So the intro with this, which I wish went on longer, is piano based. I love the piano. It's such a beautiful instrument. I think it's the best instrument to basically touch the soul. I am guitar first all the time, but piano I just think will always sound more beautiful than what a guitar can do. And it sounds beautiful. There's voices over it about a missile launch or something like that, or a rocket, something along them lines. But just the piano, it just sounds so nice. It's so melodic. It's so beautiful. And then nearer to the end, it just sounds even better. And then eventually it does come to the end. I'm like, fuck! I really wanted it to be longer. It's just such an incredible sounding lead, that piano. It's just so beautiful. So nice. So it is a shame that it stops, and I'm disappointed that it has to end. But that does not take away from what comes after, which is the band come in, the guitarist is going at it. It's really quick, not overly aggressive, a little aggressive, but not too much really. But it's really quick, but not Herman Lee quick. It's got a quickness to it, but it maintains melody. It's this very sweet area of it's fast, but it has that melody. Like going too much more or too less, then it wouldn't have that as fast element, and going too much, it would be too quick. So he's really found the sweet spot of this, where it sounds nice and it has that melody to it. And then he has a bit of fluctuations in there, like I don't think it's a repeated pattern there, this fast part. I think there is a few little teeny notes that just give it a bit of difference as it keeps going, so it's not just one big wall of just the same thing. And then it sounds great, as I say, clearly it's technical. Then going into our actual riff here, very catchy riff, and then our vocalist there comes back, sounding great. We get them backing vocals that are just by themselves sounding quite sci-fi as well. They sound phenomenal, absolutely great. Really, really work. Very effective, very different than the main vocalist delivery, so it's very different and unique to him. So really love that. The chorus is great. There's some great high notes of the vocalist. So there is a lot of good things that the vocalist is doing. The backing vocals are really working. It's got a quite aggressive sci-fi kind of sound to it, and the verse isn't doing the aggressive stuff, and there's no leads really coming out, but it does still sound really good. And then the lead work. There's a big segment of the song which the vocalist isn't actually singing, and then you think, well, it's the solo. Actually, no. There is a big segment of the song in the kind of like mid-section where there's a lot of riff and then solos. But yeah, the solos are great, as per usual, the way it is. So getting on to our last two tracks, I guess I'll just do the two of them together because that's how I always considered them, as The Voices Fade and Incubus. So As the Voices Fade is the short song. It's nearly 3 minutes, but it's not quite there. So this doesn't have any solo to it, unfortunately. But nevertheless, it's actually a really nice sounding song. It is melodic, and I did kind of say when I went over Falling that Falling is the only melodic on the album, which isn't the case, as The Voices Fade is melodic, but I pair it up with Incubus. But if you don't, then this is the second melodic that doesn't have a solo. But again, they've got the melody down. The guitarist doesn't do what he does in Falling, where he always kind of comes in with these lead interludes and everything, and these little, instrumental parts and things, and then obviously a solo. He doesn't do that. It is basically just he's there doing his segment thing, as you do. But the little riff that he's kind of given himself is nice. It sounds great. It works. The tone is super clean. It's really nice. The voice as well, absolutely amazing. So the song just really sounds nice. So even without the solo, it's just like, this is just a really short, really pleasant song. Again, you may think, well, even still, even though it's not 3 minutes, it's shy of that. Because there's no lead stuff going on, or a solo, maybe it will get a bit repetitive at the end and a little dull. No, it doesn't. When the bassist comes in, it really does kind of give a bit of a lift. It doesn't have to do a lot, just with the bass coming in, it gives the overall sound of everything just that bit of a boost. And then it kind of like changes the dynamics. Not a lot. It's not like the bass comes in and then it sounds like an Avril Lavigne album. It just gives everything that little step up. And then it carries on from there. So everything's kind of just elevated that little one segment up. And then you go. And then closer to the end, the vocalist there goes a little higher. And then that kind of brings everything up a little bit as well. So there's like 3 different like sections to it that don't change drastically, but it doesn't really have to. The little segments kind of do enough, and then it means that the song keeps that nice softness and beauty about it without it eventually getting, you know, off track from that. So it works, and it's a short, sweet, really nice sounding song. I really like it. It does play into Incubus, kinda. It does technically stop, and then Incubus starts. But in the intro of Incubus, it kind of does that as well. So listening in the car without really focusing, you can kind of miss where one actually ends. So sometimes while I'm listening to Incubus and then it does that little pause to then change, I then think, oh, that's the end of As the Voices Fade, and now I'm into Incubus, when actually, no, As the Voices Fade ended before that. So it does kind of show you that it, without really focusing, you can kind of just have the 2 songs just connecting, and then completely miss it if you're not concentrating. But if you are, you can probably figure out where it does end. So Incubus, long song, really long, longest on the album. This is 9 minutes 39 seconds, so it's friggin' long. And as I say, the fact that it comes off of the melodic track, it means that this song does start with that kind of melody and everything. Obviously it changes the melody a bit, and then the vocalist eventually comes back after a bit of, you know, just some interlude going on, and then it sounds pretty nice. And then because the song's so long, it does go on for a short while until eventually it does change. And then we start getting a bit kind of heavier, and the song goes through a hell of a lot, actually. Starting off soft, then going slightly heavier. Then it has some very aggressive elements where it's super aggressive, super fast, and then it goes back to melody, and then it's this kind of same melody, but then as it goes, it then changes into a better version of its melody, which is rather nice. Then we go into solos. The first solo is the key solo, second solo that then comes after. So when the key solo finishes, we get back with the vocals and the song keeps progressing. Then we get into the guitar solo. But I think before that you get lead segments. I think when I counted, there's like 4 or 5 solos in this. It's ridiculous. 2 main ones, and then I think there's like another 2 mini ones before them. So you get your fair amount. And as I say, the song is fluctuating all over the place. This is definitely progressive. With how it starts, and then it kind of slowly creeps up. Then it goes into the distorted channel, a bit heavier. Then it gets super aggressive. Then it comes down again. Then it changes the melody up a bit. Then we get leads throughout, and then it just keeps going. It's not predictable, it keeps going. There's a lot going on. All the segments work, all of them are great. The riffs sound great, the leads are great. That last guitar solo, again, lasts a long time. No solo is bloody short. It's the perfect combination of melody and technicality. It's so good. The speed is there, the melody is really there. It's both working together. A great final solo, and it's great just to end on such a progressive song. They go out on their biggest, most epic, so much going on. A lot of lead work. Great way to end instead of just ending on, a whimper. Just something really short, and then the band aren't really doing much, and then that's it. It just ends on such an epic. And that is our album. 9 tracks, 48 minutes. Technically 8 tracks. 9 tracks, I think crap. It's 8. And then technically therefore 47 minutes, actually. So, as I've said, it is a great album. Like, the way I've said it, it's clearly great. But it does have its problems. I will say them again for people who think I am up this band's ass or something. No. The album could be longer. I know why it isn't. There is a reason for it. Because Corrupted Lullaby was so bloody long, and too long for some people, I guess. Not for me, but it does take a lot of time for you to do it, and you should kind of listen to it all as one, which is a hell of a lot asked of you, I guess. So they wanted something shorter, and it's 48, which is the perfect sweet spot. It's not really long. It's definitely not something where it's like, well, this is too short. It's in that really good sweet spot. And again, it's 8 tracks. That's not a lot of tracks, seeing as you kind of expect something like 12, but it still gets that 47 minute mark, so it still covers the 8 tracks. It's just obviously the fact that you're just getting 8 tracks, and then with vocals as well, you're just getting like 7. So it does kind of feel short at the same time, not really short. And then, as I said, there is the spoken parts, which are still too quiet. I don't know if you're supposed to hear it or if it is there for effect, but if it isn't and you're supposed to hear and understand it, I still can't. I don't have a clue what they're saying. I try and concentrate, I can't get one bloody thing. I have no frigging clue what they're on about. But again, it can be used as an effect, kind of like an instrument, I guess. So they're my problems. I would like more tracks. I would like it to be longer. I know why it isn't long, and I get it. But me personally, I would like it to be longer. And I would like more tracks personally, but I do understand why. I get it. It's just, this is me. And this is what I think as a negative. So there is one. And then the voices that speak don't have a fucking clue what they're saying. Now, other than that, God, the guitarist is amazing. And the keys. The whole band. The vocalist is great. He does the highs, he conveys the emotion, he has some great vocal melodies at times. That first track, Bad Blood, with the effect, really did add something new for him, which I really liked. And the best thing I can say is, as I said, Kamelot is a band that always release an instrumental CD along with their album. But with that band, I keep thinking, why do you do it? Because you don't do anything. Even when it comes to the solo, you're a technical guitarist, but you never commit at all. This is an album where if you take the vocalist out, an instrumental version of the album would make sense. Because the intros are always doing something interesting in the verses. The riffs are either really interesting or they're doing lead stuff and there is something there. And then going into the chorus, there may be leads. And then during the chorus, it may be relaxed, if not doing leads. Then you got the lead solos. So the guitarist's always doing something. I think this album is phenomenal because of that guitarist. It's phenomenal for many reasons, but he is really good. Like, as I said, he's doing leads everywhere, all the time. You don't need the vocalist, because without him it'll be boring. No, so much is conveyed through the band and then the guitarist taking that lead. As I said, Falling, there is so much melody to that, and beauty and grace, and then the pauses. It all works in the same effect as the vocalist. It works exactly the same. It's equal. He is so frigging good. All the solos are super long. There is a solo in every song but one. And they are so long. They are always over like 40 seconds. That is a really good length. And then you got the guitarist who's doing the solos and the keyboardist who does the solos, and then some at the same time, which is phenomenal. You got the lead work outside of the solo going on, then the riffs sound great. Then you got melodies and melodics, then there's technicality and speed, but never sacrificing the melody so it just becomes boring. The melody is always catchy and beautiful, not just dull and boring. The vocalist is on point and great, with variation to him as well and emotional conveying. So, yeah, then as I said, you technically do get what they said. You do get a more simplified version of the band by being not simplified in any ways. Like, all the tracks leading up to that instrumental, basically, is the bog standard structures of songs. But the band always are putting everything in anywhere they bloody can. It's phenomenal. And then after that, you start getting the proggy element. So then you do start getting the typical Seventh Dimension towards the end. It's a great album. Is it better than Corrupted Lullaby? No, it isn't. Corrupted Lullaby was something really special. It was so much work, so much time. I'm not in the band, but it clearly was. So much effort, so much time. I'm not saying there wasn't effort put into this one, but that was a hell of a dedicated, performance they had to put into that album, and effort. They really had to be dedicated to that. It was so special, so unique. That was like a masterpiece album. And I don't think the band... I think the band knows that this album doesn't top that. I don't think they wanted to. They wanted to do something different, because they knew that Corrupted Lullaby was super hard to top. At least I think it was. Maybe they don't, but I think it's hard. Corrupted Lullaby is like their magnus opus. It is their, holy grail. It was such an incredible album. An absolute gem amongst, a ton of crap. Not in the band, but overall in music. Such a golden album. But this album is still phenomenal. Again, the complaints I've had, it's what the band didn't want to do anyway. As I said, the amount of tracks and then the length of the album was purposely done. It wasn't an accident. They wanted that. It's just me personally, I don't. And then the only other qualms I really have is really just the fact that the spoken parts I don't understand. Outside of that, it's great. And if it's all that great, why is it not as good as Corrupted Lullaby? Well, because that was a hefty amount of work. It had the concept story, it had the way more variation and stuff, and solos and everything. The songs were super long. There was emotion way more involved in that one, because you connected with characters. There was just way more to it. So much more going on. And this album just isn't big enough to really cover everything that the Corrupted Lullaby did and then surpass it. So, the Corrupted Lullaby is near enough 10 out of 10. Not really, because 10 out of 10 is inachievable, but it's as close as you can bloody get. This I would probably just give a 9. It's amazing. An amazing album. And as I said, it could be an instrumental because the band is that friggin' insane through the whole thing. They are phenomenal. vocalist as well, phenomenal. A great album. Because it's short, you got a sweet album that does absolutely everything. Then Corrupted Lullaby.